trip. Yeah. Today our experts, Paul Laidlaw and Kate Bliss, find themselves enjoying the pretty West Sussex countryside. And by gosh, it is pretty down there.
Some people say that William Blake was inspired to write the words for Jerusalem looking at the South Down. And did those fields in ancient time.
Beautifully done, Kate. Now, our experts are halfway through their road trip.
How did that happen? Where did it go?
I know, time flies when you're having fun. And helping them along their way is the classic 1967 Volvo P1800S. It's the third leg of their road trip, and Kate has edged ahead.
What a result.
That's not bad.
Not that she's playing her own trumpet. Nice blow. Now the heat is on Paul.
Every aisle a turn. Close front thing I can handle. It's not great for the nerves in the short term, but...
Paul's initial £200 has grown to £308 and 4 pence. Kate, who began with the same amount, now has a rather healthy £315 and 34 pence.
It's all to play for.
Certainly is, Kate. Our experts kicked off their journey on the west coast of Wales before crossing into England. They'll head for the south coast before meandering along to Kent and finally ending up at auction in the Suffolk town of Bury St Edmunds. This leg starts off in Chichester and ends up at auction in Windsor, as you do.
It looks nice. Fantastic.
Oh, what a lovely town.
Great. Well, I will see you later.
Chichester is home to Kate's first shop, Peter Hancock Antiques.
Good morning. I'm Kate.
I'm Peter.
Hi, Peter. What a treasure trove you've got here.
Yes, it goes back a long way.
Can I have a little look around?
Yes, do.
It's a job to know where to start, really, because everything is all sort of 5 deep. I've just got this feeling there's a treasure in here. It's just a question of finding it.
Just go with your instincts, Kate.
It's almost like smelling it out.
Your nose, then, eh?
Oops.
Let's leave Kate to rummage in Chichester. Paul has made his way to the seaside town of Bognor Regis, which has nearly 3 miles of promenade to enjoy. But there's no time to paddle, Paul. Bognor Antiques await.
Take these off for close work. Stefan?
Yes.
Can I have a look at something in your wee carousel there, please? It is, it's just coming around now. It's that wee brooch. There. What do you think of that? It's not gold, so this little brooch is not interesting because it's precious. But the workmanship, all of that fretting, all of those intertwined foliate scrolls are hand-cut, wonderful work, and an unusual, almost pendulum or baluster-like form. It has a name, this little brooch. This is a balance cock. A what? A balance cock is a watch part, specifically the cover for the balance wheel of a pocket watch with a verge movement. And it dates to the 18th or the first quarter of the 19th century. Could that be a fiver?
Let me take one look. For you, Paul, yes.
You've got a diamond tester. You've got a diamond tester, haven't you? Check, see if that's a tiny little diamond chip in the middle of that.
You spotted something, Mr. Laidlaw?
I think maybe when they converted to a brooch, they got themselves a little old rose-cut diamond, because it is faceted, and insetted into the top of the bearing cover.
Oh, yes.
It doesn't transform it, but if I'm being dead honest with you, Stefan, if I send that to auction as a balance cock brooch, it's worth 5 to 15 quid. But if I say it's got a small diamond in it, somebody's going to go, that seems cheap at 15, you might get 20 quid for it.
It's a diamond.
Is it? Do you know what? No great glory in that, but a small step, that would be enough profit for me to catch up on Kate Bliss.
Talking of whom, how's she getting on in Chichester?
Now, in here is what looks like a pool charger. Okay, there it is. So it's the colour that really appeals to me. I love this vibrant yellow. Turn it over and you can see the distinctive pool mark there, printed with the dolphin, which is their trademark. And of course, it's not made far from here, just down the road near Southampton. And the Pool Factory were very much known for their art pottery, and yellows, bright oranges, greens were very much in their palette of bright glazes. Founded actually in the 19th century, but its mid-century ceramics, its mid-20th century ceramics have become really collectible today. Now, the price tag's 70 there, but if this is going to make me a profit, I need to have a chat with Peter. Hi, Peter. Now, I found this at the back of one of your cupboards. I love the colour of it,
right.
but what sort of price could you do it for?
50.
Is that your absolute best? I was hoping for sort of £20 to £30, something like that. Is that any good for you, or could you meet me in the middle at all?
I go for 30.
Do you know, well, that helps me a lot.
Yeah,
Let's do
that'll
that.
help.
That's super. If that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Lovely. That's great. Thank you very much indeed.
Well, that's Kate off the mark then. Now, let's catch up with Paul and Bognor.
What about Bodai? Happy Buddha.
Happy Buddha there can be 60.
Okay, it's too much for me, but I love these.
I love them too.
They're brilliant things,
Beautiful.
aren't they?
You know,
I mean, you look at him there, he's just
Superb.
having a ball, isn't he? He's truly about as happy as they get.
Yeah, he's had a good lunch, hasn't he?
This is the final reincarnation of Buddha, is it not? Bodai.
Buddha, yes.
Stefan, I think I'm done. You know what I'm going to buy. First thing I looked at with a diamond in it.
Oh, right.
I've got to buy that
Yes.
because it sounds fantastic, and it is. For a go, bottom line on the Japanese carving.
The very best is 40.
This might work for you. £40 for the £5 brooch and that. 35 and 5 is what I'm saying.
We can do that.
Well, we just did. Stefan,
Shake on it. Well done.
we're a ball, didn't we? Well, thank you very much. Buddha might bring me luck. I wish you well and I hope I see you again.
Cheers, Paul.
With Paul's lucky Buddha in the boot, let's catch up with Kate in Portsmouth. She's visiting the National Museum of the Royal Navy to find out how a major sea battle helped change the course of World War I. Victoria Ingalls is the Senior Heritage Project Officer.
So what was going on in the First World War before the Battle of Jutland?
Well, the British from the word go had decided to keep a distant blockade to try and sort of strangle trade and imports getting into Germany to try and diminish their war efforts. So that's food, but also supplies they needed for armaments and keeping the front going.
By 1916, the Germans were desperate to break that blockade. But they were vastly outgunned.
So what sort of numbers are we talking about for each fleet?
So the German fleet had 99 ships and the British fleet had 151, so it's quite a bit larger.
On the 31st of May, off Denmark's Jutland Peninsula, both fleets were merely tens of miles from each other.
So the first sightings took place about 2:00 in the afternoon, but by 4:00 they're becoming more in range of each other.
The first salvos started to fly.
You'll have not only the explosives themselves setting off, but the shell casing itself will break up into pieces, into shrapnel. And so you've got hot lumps of metal flying through the air as well as all the explosives. So, you know, the effects can be quite devastating.
As the British fleet was about to find out.
We lose the Indefatigable, and there's over 1,000 men lost on board there. And then a few minutes later, HMS Queen Mary is also hit, and around 1,200 men die on that ship, and there's only a handful of survivors. So literally within the space of minutes, thousands of men have been lost.
By the end of the battle the next day, the Germans were forced to retreat back to port with the loss of 11 ships and over 2,500 men. The Royal Navy had lost over 6,000 sailors and 14 ships. The carnage also left hundreds of seriously injured on the decks of the British ships. One of them was 16-year-old Jack Cornwell, also known as Boy Cornwell.
He was a gun layer, so he was employed as part of the gun crew on the upper deck of HMS Chester. And being part of the gun crew, he was on the upper deck, and he was found after the battle remaining at his post. Sadly, the rest of his gun crew were killed, and Boy Cornwell himself sustained quite severe injuries.
Jack survived the trip to Grimsby, where he was taken ashore with the other casualties from HMS Chester.
But he sadly died of his injuries a couple of days later.
Tragically, his family couldn't give Jack the funeral he deserved.
He was buried in a pauper's grave. He didn't come from a very wealthy family.
Jack's wasn't the only indignity suffered by the British sailors returning home after the battle.
The news is already broken that it was a German victory, and some of the ships and crews are actually sort of booed back into harbour, and they get a horrendous reception.
But when it was realised that the German fleet was unable to return to sea and the blockade remained in place, attitudes changed. And it wasn't long before attention was being drawn to the tragic story of Jack Cornwell by tabloids such as the Daily Sketch.
There was a campaign to basically give him a proper send-off, a proper funeral.
It was agreed that Jack Cornwell's body would be exhumed.
He was actually given a full military funeral, full honours, and crowds of people sort of lined the streets to watch the funeral cortege go past.
To add to this hero's funeral, Boy Cornwell was also posthumously awarded the Victoria Cross. But perhaps more importantly, Jack and his comrades' sacrifice would not be in vain, because the continued naval blockade would eventually help force the Germans to the negotiating table. Meanwhile, Paul's along the coast on Hayling Island. Its beaches were used for training in preparation for the D-Day landings. He's hoping to unearth a treasure at all sorts of antiques and collectibles, so stand by.
Hello there, is it Elaine?
It is. Hello, Paul.
Lovely to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Sun is shining, and I don't mind telling you, in the short distance from the door to here, I am seeing things already that I like the look of. May I have a wee rummage?
Yeah, feel free.
See you in a moment, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be over there.
Seen something?
May we have a look in this cabinet here?
Certainly.
Whose goodies are here?
Mine.
This is you.
This is mine.
Bone Dominoes, it says complete. We've got a set of doms there.
Yes, and there's a few extras there as well.
There's extra. We can go to the pub later and we can be like old men and play doms in merriment. I love these. They're not shockingly rare. They are, however, fascinating and reasonably desirable. Here we have a turned bone, ox bone, mutton bone, little barrel form box. Unscrew the lid, and therein, bone dominoes. Quite primitively made, look at those. There is the 66, the one we all want. They weren't made on a machine in a factory. I think, as does Elaine, that they were made in a prisoner of war camp. We're not talking about the Second World War, the First World War, the Boer War. We're talking about the Napoleonic Wars. They're priced at £45. You know what I'm going to ask? What can you do me those for?
30?
Elaine, I'm not going to haggle any further.
That's a first.
Elaine,
Okay.
£30. I'm a very happy bunny. Thank you very much.
Blimey, he's not hanging around. What else is tickling your fancy then, Paulus?
What do we have? Trenchard candlesticks. £25. Never seen anything quite like it described as Trenchard, because I think these are related to the Brighton bun. The what? The Brighton bun. Campaign or travelling candlesticks, typically of donut form, annular form. How do they work? Well, they work like this. Look at this man gratuitously taking apart that shop owner's stock. That little box there, we can take on campaign or travelling. I've not seen Trenchard campaign candlesticks like this ever. So I'm tantalised. Pair Trenchard candlesticks, £25. Don't think that's dear, but unpredictable at auction. Anyone's guess. I'd like them a lot more if they were cheap.
Oh, Elaine.
Hi, Elaine.
Yes, Paul.
Pair of brass candlesticks, Trenchard candlesticks, £25. Any chance of finding out if there's a discounted price to be had on those?
I'm sure we can do
Fantastic.
something.
A quick call to the vendor and...
I don't know whether it would be the price you're looking for, but £18.
So, that is the price I'm looking for. Elaine, I shall settle up.
Oh, right, okay.
I owe you £48. 20, 40, £50 for you. Thank you very much. No, thank you. Great stuff. Stick this in pocket. Grab these. Thanks, Elaine.
you.
All the best to you.
Good luck.
Right, let's find Kate.
Do you know what, Paul? I couldn't imagine nicer company driving along in a 1960s Volvo.
Ah, that's nice. But then they are nice. Nighty-night. Morning from the rather beautiful New Forest.
This is the life, Kate.
Isn't it just? Look, wild ponies.
Our experts are on the road again.
So we're heading southwest.
Yes.
Through this idyllic New Forest towards the coast.
Yeah.
Kate has a slender lead over Paul.
A whole £7 ahead-ish. There or thereabouts.
Stop going on about it. Gee, keep bringing it up.
You brought it
Oh,
up.
come on. Oh, £7.
So far, Kate has bought the pool charger and has £285.34 left in her bag to spend. Paul has bagged the brooch, the Buddha, the dominoes and the candlesticks and has got £220.04 to spend today. He's visiting the village of Milford-on-Sea, which lies on the edge of the Solent. Lovely.
Okay, this is you. Get out of here.
See you later.
Bye.
It's home to Noah Valentine Antiques and Collectibles.
Hi, is it Peter?
It is. How you doing?
I'm good. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
This has got something going on, is it not?
A little bit different. You've got a little bit at the back to the right, mezzanine up top.
Yeah.
But help yourself, have a look around.
Good, I cannot wait.
And spend some money.
I'm going to try.
Good man.
See you in a minute.
See you in a bit.
This is where my methodical approach is essential, is it not? Because you can easily miss something here, and that would be a mistake.
I'm not buying the U-boat. No matter what the little demon on my shoulder tells me to do.
Just as well. It would never fit in a car. Best keep looking, Paul. In the meantime, Kate's made her way to the market town of New Milton, which is nestled on the edge of the New Forest. She's visiting Serendipity 1, but will she be leaving happy?
Okay. I don't know where to look next. I'm going to get on my hands and knees. Do you know, these trunks here, there's two stacked up here. They look like rusty old tin boxes, but there's such a story behind them, and you can see here a name, R.R.B. McLean, and again on the top here. My grandfather had one of these. He was a squadron leader in the Second World War, and all his uniform and his RAF stuff was kept in a tin trunk just like this, and I've still got it. No value really, unless there's provenance with the person they're connected to. For me, my grandfather's is priceless.
Quite right too, Kate. Back in Milford-on-Sea, what's Paul found?
I'm no arguing with the mechanism.
Yeah, sweet thing.
Somebody's daubed it in black stuff though a long time ago.
Yeah. I didn't know if it was more like a piece of folk art or whether it was mass produced.
That's mass produced.
Is it? Okay.
And it's a land ship. That's what it. Yeah, this is where the tank start. It's a land ship.
Okay.
It's missing elements as well, because those tabs that are broken there secured the undercarriage.
Okay.
You have to tidy up the mechanism, otherwise little Johnny's going to lose a digit. Good thing. Dear or cheap?
Reasonable.
I like that.
65 quid.
It's fundamentally incomplete. Lost tracks, lost a base plate. 20 quid's no use.
The best would be 35.
35 quid. How badly wrong can that go? Ah, what the hell?
35?
Yeah, I think we did it.
Good luck with it.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Nice
Thanks
one.
very much.
No worries.
I will settle up.
Good man.
So, 35, what we got? It's 20, 40, that's for you.
Okay, let me get some change. £5 change.
Absolutely magic. Always take the luck.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers. Nice
See you
to meet
again.
Yeah, take care.
Let's leave Paul with his tank, eh? Meanwhile, over in New Milton,
Now, this has caught my eye, and it's the top I like better than the bottom. In fact, I like it so much, I'm just going to move this bike so I can get a bit closer to it. Let's park that there. Now we can have a proper look. Look at this. Let's have a look underneath. So I think this base could have belonged to an old pub table once upon a time. It's certainly Victorian in style. It's cast iron, very heavy. Yes, it's a bit rusty around the feet, but somebody might like to paint that if you want it pristine. But then, this white marble top, I think, has been added later. I love the little bit of mottling in it. It's a thing of quality, and actually, it's transformed it into what I think is a really nice size little garden table. Now, I would have that in my garden, and I think a lot of people in Windsor, where we're going for the auction, might like that in their garden. It says 85 here. Now, I'm going to need a good bit off that to make it viable for me, but it's worth a chat.
best find the man in charge then.
Hi, Nick.
Hello, right.
You've got a little white marble top table outside.
Yes, that's Simon's in number 2 shop.
Right,
Yes.
OK. So is it something he might have had for a while that he wants to move on?
He's had it a while, and I know because somebody else was interested, and we could do 50.
OK, well, I was really hoping for sort of 30 or 40-ish,
Feeling
maybe.
you were going to come up with something.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
So,
I want you to make a little bit, but if I can make a little bit too...
Hang on a minute.
What have
shall
you got
we go-
there?
Well, this is going to be the executive decision
Oh,
maker.
is it?
So we've got all our answers. Definitely, ask again, never, why not, possibly, forget
Oh, forget it. Oh, no, I hope it doesn't land on that one. So whatever this decides, then, is that whether you'll come and meet me at 40, maybe, or...
Exactly.
Otherwise, I'll have to come up to 50.
You'll have to come up to 50.
OK.
Well, do you feel lucky, Kate?
All right,
So, shall we give it a whirl?
let's give it a whirl. Let's see what happens.
Off we go.
Oh, no!
Oh, no! So we're back to the 50. I'm awfully sorry. We'll do 45.
45. Oh, you're killing me, Nick.
I'm awfully sorry.
Oh, let me find you some money. Hang on. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And 2 of those.
And 2 of those.
Thank you very much
Great.
indeed.
Lovely. Thanks so much
Thank
for your
you.
help.
It's
Good
been
to see
great.
you.
And you. Take
Bye.
care. Bye.
I bet that's the first time you've ever haggled with a machine, Kate. Let's catch up with Paul now. He's made his way to the city of Southampton. He's come to find out how British ingenuity has led to our lives being meticulously mapped out for more than 200 years.
Hey, good to see you.
How are you, Nigel?
Very well. Now,
What an environment.
well, we like it. Come on in. We'll show you around.
Nigel Clifford is the CEO of the Ordnance Survey.
Think maps, think Ordnance Survey. But when I hear the word ordnance, I'm minded of the military. Is there a link?
Absolutely there is. Jacobite Rebellion, 1745. The English troops were up in Scotland, in the Highlands. And one of the big issues they had was understanding the local geography. Now that was a big wake-up call to the military back in London, and they thought, this can't be allowed to stand. We've got to understand our country. So they set up the first mapping project, which was actually in the Highlands of Scotland.
So how did the surveyors make the maps in 1790 odd?
Well, it was the beginnings of triangulation, so the use of geometry and trigonometry to pull together a view of the country. Using theodolites, which were just awesome inventions of the time.
So in performing our triangulation, this is essentially a telescope to see the remote object and then registers that allow us to measure the angular separation of them.
Correct.
The use of theodolites would continue into the 20th century, as would the Ordnance Survey's association with the military.
So come the First World War, there were several kind of calls to action for Ordnance Survey, and we were employed in looking after around, or mapping about 6,000 miles of France, for the First World War. So we produced maybe 30 million maps for the Board of War.
These surveyors must be pretty close to the dangerous areas to perform their duties.
Absolutely. We've got a memorial to the 123 of our colleagues who lost their lives during the First and Second World Wars.
Despite the dangers of the First World War, the Ordnance Survey continued to develop world-leading mapping techniques.
Surveyors are no longer solely on the land, they're up in the air.
For the first time, putting a camera in a plane, taking pictures, seeing how the trenches were moving, and then depicting those on maps, which were then used by the military. And that continues then through the Second World War. And Second World War, it was something like 400 million maps produced, with a huge focus on D-Day.
Over the years, Ordnance Survey maps have become an irreplaceable record of our nation. And the revolutionary shift in technology from theodolites to computers and satellites will ensure that Britain will continue to be mapped in ever greater detail. Elsewhere in Southampton, Kate is visiting her last shop, Cobwebs. They specialise in ship memorabilia, and she's got £240 left to spend. Go girl.
This shop is very specialist, and for somebody interested in ship-related ocean liner memorabilia, fantastic. But I've got to put these items in an auction in Windsor. And although it might be online, it is a very niche thing. Come on, please.
That's the spirit, girl.
Now, here is something I really like. He's quite a cheeky chappy. He's in tin plate, and, most importantly, he's got his key. Now, you've got to be really careful not to overwind little mechanical toys, but I'm going to give him a go to see if he works. Off he goes, look at that. Isn't he the cutest emperor penguin you've ever seen? Oh, look, looks like he's having a tantrum now. Now, mechanical toys can be really collectible. This one is British. He's still waggling his feet. And I would think dates from about the 1950s. But the nice thing about him is that he's all complete. He's in working order. He's got his little key. I think he's gorgeous.
This little chap sports a £25 price tag. Time to head upstairs and chat cash with dealer Peter.
It's lovely.
Isn't he cute? Well, I'm going to put him on one side just for a minute, Peter.
He's one possible. Anything else?
Oh, now this is something right up my street. You can see it's a travelling case, but on the canvas exterior cover, you've got Cunard line. Let's just turn that around. Look at that. So It's always lovely to have original travel stickers on luggage. And here you have it. You've even got the date on here, July the 8th, and it was travelling from New York to Southampton. And I would say, looking at the style of the piece, it's probably 1950s. If I turn it round, you can see inside you've got a lovely pigskin vanity case by the look of things. Look at the condition of that. That is absolutely gorgeous. I wonder if there's anything inside. Let's have a look. Oh, now look at this. So this is very 50s, your sort of watered silk lining here. But then on the top, you've got a lovely little pigskin case. Inside here, though, we've got all sorts of things. Look at that. Everything a lady would need. We've got brushes, and you've got little soap dish, your toiletry jars. There's just one missing. Look, that's a shame. Probably another jar similar to that one. This would have been a really smart thing.
It's £75.
It was used on the Queen Mary.
On the Queen Mary?
On board the Queen Mary.
Wow. I mean, it's just like it's just come off the ship,
it
isn't
is.
it, really?
Yeah.
Well, I do like that, I have to say. If I took that and I took this little fella, which is a bit of fun, what's the best you could do for me?
65 for the two.
65 for the two, OK. If I said I liked your naval officer's hat up there...
That is a captain's cap.
It's a captain's?
It's not an ordinary officer's cap, it's a captain's one.
And it's got a ticket price of £65.
It'd be 100 for the lot.
100 for the lot is the death.
Yeah.
I'll shake your hand.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Aye, aye. Talk about impulse buying, Kate.
Well, before I give you any money, Peter, I'm just going to fish this down, if I may. Let's have a little look at it. Great. Yeah. It's in good order, isn't it?
It is.
I thought it looked OK.
Why don't you try it on? See
Why
if it
don't
fits.
I? I do
Oh,
like
that
a
looks
hat.
good, actually. It
Oh,
really
yes.
does.
I can hear the poor hornpipe blowing.
Yeah, that does look good.
Yeah, OK. Well, I'll be off then.
Don't forget the money, Captain Kate.
That's for you. Thank
Thank
you
you
very
very
much.
much.
It's been super talking to you.
Thank you.
All right. Wish me luck.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
That's the penguin for £20, the vanity case for £50, and £30 for the captain's cap. Now, time to compare notes with Paul.
I have no interest in how old your purchases are, just how cheap they were. And how profitable they're likely to be.
We have to keep guessing on that one.
Well, we'll soon find out. Time for some shut-eye. Morning from the very royal town of Windsor. Today sees the end of our experts' antiques forage by the sea. They started off in Chichester, journeyed along the south coast, and have now headed north to Berkshire.
New auction house. Hey, this is exciting.
Uncharted territory.
Yeah.
It is. Windsor auctions have only been on the go from here for a year.
Let's go and take a shifty.
Paul bought 5 items for £123. Kate also snapped up 5 items for £175. But what do our experts make of each other's buys?
So we're in an auction, and we've found another vintage travelling vanity or grooming case. So what? Doesn't every auction have one? Who cares about that? Well, do you know, you're going to care about this one, because this is the one you've been waiting for. £50 paid. Yes, that deserves a profit. That deserves a profit. Buy this, folks.
Well, my first instinct is, Paul, what's going on? This isn't your style. But then, of course, I realise it's a tank. And now I can see why he's been drawn to it. But it's overpainted. It's lost its rubber tracks or tyres. It hasn't got a name, although I think it might be British. It might be Triang. But it's seen better times. Funny, the boy toy market is buoyant, but in this condition, I don't think so.
In charge of proceedings today is Harry Bailin. Have any of our experts' lots caught his eye?
Trent Sharp candlesticks, absolutely love them. Military items go really well in winter. We've got a lot of historical collectors. I see them making sort of £50, £60 if not a little bit more, just because they're a good thing. They're a nice solid lot. The marble top cast iron table, I suspect, against my better judgment, that this may prove to be one of the star lots of the day. It suits the area, it suits Windsor, it suits a courtyard garden, it's got the right look. I see it making £80, £90.
OK, let's get down to business then.
It's nice having to squeeze through all the punters to get to your seat.
First up is Paul's Victorian brooch.
Excited.
£10 I have. £10 I have and 12 I'm after.
Good start.
I'd like a lot more than that.
15 there, 18 here, 20 there, 22 here. Shake of the head, it's 20 in the back of the room. Selling at £20 unless I hear 22 elsewhere. Fair warning to all.
That's Paul out of the traps with a decent profit.
I wish it had cost 50 with that markup.
How will Kate pick up a penguin fare?
£30 I have and 32 now, 35, 38, 38 to the back of the room, 40, 42. Are you sure, sir?
Look at that little face.
£42 I have, 45 here,
Another bidder.
48, 48, 50, sir, round it up, £50 I have.
That's a lot of money.
£50 it is.
That's a great start for Kate.
He's a cutie, isn't he?
We've got Paul's Bone Dominoes next.
Start the bidding with me at £15 I have. £15 I have, 18 online, 20 I now have, back of the room.
22 online, 25, thank you. 28 online, 30, back of the room, 32 online, 35, sir.
There we go, profit.
But we need a profit.
42 online, 45, thank you, sir.
That's pretty good.
45, takes the internet bidding out, back of the room at 40.
So it's £45 at the back of the room. Anywhere else at £48, I've got £45. I'm selling therefore at £45. Fair warning to all.
Paul's profitable streak continues.
Good profit. I think that's a fair price. Well done, you.
Can Kate keep the pressure on Paul with her piece of pool?
Start the bidding at £20, shall we? Any
Very
interest at
flamboyant,
20?
isn't it?
Online at 20.
£20 I have and 22 I'm after. 22 now at the back of the room. 22 at the back of the room. Selling to the back of the room,
hang on a
therefore.
minute.
At 20. Oh no, no competition online. £28 I have.
On the internet. Surely the internet's going to go again.
Looking for 30.
Selling therefore at £28, back of the room. Fair warn.
Never mind, Kate. Just a small loss.
The Collectors Club bus obviously is arriving a little bit later for tea. The Paul Pottery Collectors Club.
Will Paul still be laughing when his Buddha's sold?
Start the bidding at £40.
Well, he looks a happy
£40
chap.
interest at 40.
The Buddha, I mean.
£40.
Happier than me at the moment.
£30, any interest at 30. I'll look at 20, 30 I have.
They've woken up.
£30 I have and 32 I'm looking for. £30 I have and I'm selling that way. Unless I hit 32 elsewhere. Fair warning. 30 it is.
Well, you win some, you lose some.
Put it this way, the Buddha looked happier than you.
Next up, Kate's captain's cap.
£10 I've been offered, £10 I'll take.
Should be.
Well, it's a start.
£10 I've got 12 now. 15, sir. 15 now. 18, sir. No.
What do you mean, no?
18 online.
Ooh.
Selling at 18 online. No. £20. Thank you, sir. £20 I
Don't you love it when fresh blood comes in?
Everyone wants a tickle.
Online, 25.
25, sir. Yeah.
Creeping.
It is, you make it, it
Looking
is.
for 28 from the internet. Fair warning to the internet, the bid is in the room at 25, 28. Now, looking for 30 online. 28 in the room, please, Eric. It's your bid.
Selling at 28, sir. Fair warning.
The internet's out.
I think the ship's just sailed on that profit.
For a punt, I'll take that. It's not bad.
Paul's toy tank next.
£30, any interest at 30 I have. £30 I have,
Leave it
32
more.
I'm after.
Just get
32 now.
one more breaks me even
35
before
I have.
charges.
Hey!
38.
Do let that horse in.
40. 42. There is somebody trying to bid, but if I can't see your face, I can't take your bid.
See it, see the face.
42, sir? 42 I now have. 45 anywhere else. Fair warning. Selling to the back of the room at £42.
Paul's back to his winning ways.
That's a good profit. I'm eating my hat.
Maybe Kate's vanity set will turn a profit.
Any interest at £40?
Got it, you know.
£40 I now have online and 42 I'm after. £40 I have, looking for 42.
Not have made them bid.
Selling to the online at 40. All of the internet know about it, and it's making £40.
Some lucky bidder's got a steal there.
I hope it's gone to a really, a private buyer who's going to really appreciate it, actually. May even use it, you never know.
Don't care.
Paul's last lot, the First World War candlesticks.
Start the bidding with me at 30 and I'm after 32.
Ooh, straight in there.
I like competition.
48, 40, 42, 45, 48.
I'll take that.
50, 55, 60, 65. 65 of the book is down, it's 65 at the back of the room to a very persistent bidder. 65,
I haven't seen a pair like them.
Looking for 70, selling at 65, fair warn.
We were right.
That is a cracking price.
Crikey. Jolly good return there, Paul. Wow.
That's a new world record for any train shark.
Next up, Kate's marble table.
£50.
He's got 50 already.
£50 I have, 55.
I am going to
Hold on.
Hold
eat
on.
humble pie.
Hold on, it could go either way.
60 online.
65, sir.
65 in the room, the internet. 70 online. 75, sir. 75 in the room, looking for 80 from online. Fair warning to online, 80.
80?
It's 85 in the room, looking for 90 online. 90, 95. Shake of the head, are you sure, sir?
The internet's at 90. Selling therefore at 90. Sure you don't want back in?
£90.
Selling at £90. Fair warn.
Oh, I see.
Kate.
That would just make a little garden.
Brilliant profit there, Kate.
I don't know where the sums add up to there. That was all over.
There's been some kind of sturdy ups and a few little downs, but good fun along the way, I'd say.
Mull it over a coffee.
Come on.
Right, let's do the maths. She's looking happy, because she started this leg with £315 and 34 pence. After auction costs, she made a profit of £18 and 52 pence, leaving her with £333 and 86 pence to spend on the next leg. Paul started with £308 and 4 pence, and after his auction costs, he made a decent profit of £42 and 64 pence, meaning he carries forward £350 and 68 pence to spend next time. That means he's regained the overall lead. Well done.
So that was highs and lows.
I was going to say fun in places.
Oh, go on, it was great.
Next time on the Antiques Road Trip, the competition is getting fierce.
Holy moly, this is jockeying for the lead, is it not?
Yeah.
Kate's still hoping to clean up.
I found it. I have found the item.
And Paul changes tack.
You did not expect this, did you?
No, not from you.
Honest truth is, neither did I.
Exclusive coverage of Moines